When you are able to really have that wonder and curiosity and be aware, have that perception running all the time, again, not as a detachment, but as a union with reality, this discernment starts to develop. Because there's no conditioning, or less and less conditioning, instead of seeing yourself, your own projections all around you, you start to see things, perceive things as they are. And this is often discussed as presence. You simply see things as they are. You be with what's there, and there's comfort with what's there. Whatever happens to be there, whatever expression of the vibrational scale and light that's truly there, you've developed familiarity with so much of that vibrational scale. And there's so much freedom and such non-identity that's involved here. There's comfort there. And this allows you to engage in situations or conversation that might for many be very, very uncomfortable. But for you, it's simply true. And the orientation is to that present moment, to that light of truth that is in its continuum of flux, continuum of interplay with the elements and with electric and magnetic forces. And so that's what you see. You just see what's there. So discernment really becomes a very interesting sign of transformation. We want to be careful with discernment that we aren't simply projecting our projections onto the environment around us. That's very, very important, which is why that deep sincerity and honesty has to be present all the time. That leads one towards a deeper truth perception. So because there's no identity to cling to right views and words and all this stuff and thoughts and actions and energy and emotions, the ability to explore many, many perspectives simultaneously starts to arise. So instead of, you develop freedom from, I think that blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you think about this? Well, I think blah, 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 blah. That you become free from because there's no identity clinging to the right view, the right thought, the right pattern of emotion. And this allows us to take and see a whole bunch of different thoughts about things and views, whether it's like current events or anything else, and you can simply see them floating in their space at the same time. You go, oh, okay. And you can start to evaluate them from that light of the spirit, instead of from the identity, the lower identity, trying to find another source of stability and foundation and pride in whatever might be right. One of the things that we need to note with this is, I might say something like this, and you might have some realization of this experience yourself. And very often when you express something like this, people will take it and go, okay, well, now that you've said that you can perceive many different options and thoughts simultaneously, how come you don't agree with me? You should agree with me. How come you don't adopt my view? If you're free from views, why don't you adopt mine? And this is kind of funny, and it kind of is it's to the point of what we're talking about. We want other people to adopt our own thoughts and our own views. So this freedom to not be wrapped up in that, again, doesn't have to do with detachment or apathy. It simply has to do with there isn't an identity trying to sustain itself. And this is a wonderful, wonderful freedom. So in the mental body and field, as this comes into resonance with living mind, living intelligence, that intelligence of light, thought is inspired from the Akashic light continuum, from that emptiness light continuum. And because of this, you find that there's like an acausal thoughts, like your views become acausal, because there's no story to pin cause on, and free of conditioning of story, free of conditioning entirely. And this, of course, extends to the astral and vital expressions in action. And so you start to find, as part of this transformation, as this attunement with light starts to really evolve, and you work through the solar system, you work through the zodiac, you break free of the zodiac or are birthed beyond that, is that this refinement of light, it really, really starts to evolve things. And every time you come back into like the more denser bodily experience and emanation, that denser field there, that you're very, very different. And every little stage that we get stuck on, where we're stuck because we're working out our stagnancies and our issues, and then those resolve, and then we're no longer stuck in those stagnancies and those issues. So we're free to move into the next phases of the development and the training. Very, very important that we acknowledge this, because during this phase, it can be very, very difficult for those around us, because, like we said, our family, our friends, maybe it's our students, or maybe it's our teachers, or whoever, whatever we're doing, there's an idea of who and what we are, and there's a need to impose knowns constantly, to sling identity at us all the time. And as you're touching into these incredibly vast fractals of consciousness and light, as you're merging with this and realizing your this star essence and this cosmic essence, a human mind doing this at you is just not going to happen. It's not going to fly. So we want to be aware of that, so we can learn and work how to navigate those experiences. So as we've worked through the vibrational scale, through these phases of uncovering infinity and infinite light, Akasha, this blend through the initiation via the vehicle of the human, the vehicle of the solar system and the planets, the vehicle of the zodiac, and beyond that into the greater star systems, the soul has been polished during all of this. The astral body has been spiritualized at each level. The mental astral body and field, the mental body and field, it's been spiritualized at each level. As you're working through this vibrational scale, what spiritualizes it, what polishes it, is the finding at each layer that resonant alignment with each layer of the vibrational scale. So you're polished, right, at each layer. And as the soul is being polished, it is becoming lighter. It's literally becoming lighter. The mind becomes that light, that higher frequency of light it is finding alignment and resonance with. The astral body and field is becoming that light. And to a degree, the physical body is really starting to embrace and evolve with that light. So the weight of our soul is lighter and lighter, lighter than a feather. As Anubis would weigh the soul against a feather, and only when the soul was light enough did the feather went down and the soul ascended, that the soul could ascend. Because the soul is light enough, that light, that fingerprint of the spirit, is free to tune with the highest light of our star essence. And that is we're able to ascend through that and break free. So the true, break free into the truth of this light at its density, and light is at its non-density, and the interplay and amalgamation of all of this. The view breaks free, and because the soul is free and light, and the spirit can move. So the view is becomes, once again, like cosmic, eternal, and infinite, embracing everything. Very, very important that we are not ascending and excluding the density and the denser emanations that are necessary for life to amalgamate and form at different levels and layers. Very, very important for that life to sustain a shape of life, or at least its shape of form. The life is there, moving in and out of different forms and shapes all the time. So the true expression of this cosmic sovereignty, as we develop and become this cosmic human, this cosmic, starman or light man. Part of this expression is this is the sovereignty and unity. Through sovereignty and unity, we find absolute resolution into, as and of, the fingerprint of that star essence, the unique fingerprint of that star essence. This fingerprint, it's like this fingerprint of the gods, the stars, these constellations being these like ultimate divine bodies in the sky. So this fingerprint of the gods, very interestingly, also finds resolution through us, through through this little fingerprint itself. And this is always the way to break these cohesions of formful identity. So we find resolution through the cosmos, and the cosmos finds resolution through us. The consciousness is a bad word, but the ability to flow through the entirety of the vibrational scale, exist and acknowledge all of it simultaneously. That is the little, is the big. The raindrop is the ocean, and the ocean is the raindrop. So this is all a deep, deep part of the process of evolution along the magical path. And so much of this resolution is simply you stop doing stuff. How can you do things? You aren't there. Stuff happens. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. If you are interested in training, please check out the website. There are courses in Hermetic Qigong and Alchemy. There is the Zenden, which is a Q&A reference library. So I get back to all your questions via video, and that way I can help you with your learning as you're progressing through the practices. And of course, you can find retreat information available there as well. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for your time. Have fun. Practice. Bye.